Tales from the Gas Station, Part 5. I should begin this entry by saying how truly sorry I am to anyone who read Part 4. I had no idea that was going to happen. The agents have assured me that every trace of the story has been removed from the internet, and there is nothing to worry about. If you were unfortunate enough to have read Part 4, I beg you, for your own sake, just try to forget everything. If you experience nosebleeds, dizziness, migraines, or hallucinations, go immediately to the emergency room. And if you have a recurring dream of an island made of song, under no circumstances should you approach or attempt to open the blue door with a painting of a crow on it. If you did not read Part 4, there was no Part 4. It does not exist. Forget you ever even heard of it. By now, you probably already know that there is a crappy gas station at the edge of our small town, and weird things have been happening here. The city council has personally asked me to stop talking about it, as there have been some astute readers that have not only tracked down our small town from the brief descriptions I've given, but have actually come and visited me at work. I heard that one of them has joined the Mathemists, and as far as I know, the other two are still missing. Once again, I'm so sorry. I'm not working right now. It's the first legitimate break I've had since I first started writing my stories on receipt paper all that time ago. Time moves funny here, flowing slow and fast all at once, like molasses out of a shotgun. It's a really good thing I've been keeping a journal. I've got a few moments before my laptop dies, and I think now would be the perfect time to transpose my journal entries before the battery runs out or the blood loss gets to me. Right now, it's a race to see what happens first. And before any of you worry too much, I have already called Tom. He said he's on his way here to give me a ride to the hospital, right after he picks up dinner for the Ledford orphans, John, Ben, and little sister. Tom and the other deputies have been taking turns checking in on and bringing them food in an attempt to make the whole thing a little less tragic. They've been living on their own ever since the incident that totally did not happen, and anyone who says otherwise is a damned liar. There I go again, off on another tangent. I guess I'll get to it and type up my journal entries while I still can. November 2nd, 9:00 p.m. So much has happened here since the Halloween incident that we aren't allowed to talk about. I've been much busier than usual, dealing with the aftermath as well as the cult. The Mathemists have been cleaning out their inventory on a daily basis, planning ahead for some kind of secret event that I only get to hear about in hushed mutterings and whispers. Night is coming earlier and the weather is getting colder. November 3rd, 2:00 a.m. The man in the trench coat is back. He's standing just outside the gas station door, staring in. He's been there for almost an hour now. On the bright side, I haven't had a customer come in since he showed up. On the not so bright side, I can't help but feel like he's trying to put thoughts into my head. He won't be able to, though. I've had way too much practice. Kiefer came in earlier today, before the sun went down, and sat in a booth drinking coffee for a while. Eventually, Spencer Middleton showed up. Spencer had a word with Kiefer, then came storming up to my register, screaming at the top of his lungs. He grabbed the display of lotto scratch-offs and threw it across the room. It was obvious that something had upset him. That's when I took the earplugs out. "Is everything okay?" I asked stupidly. I knew damn well everything was never okay here. "Did you hear a word I just said?" Spencer asked. I explained to him that I had taken to wearing earplugs in an effort to drown out the sounds of screaming that periodically radiated through the air vents. I guess the screams must have stopped a while ago. Either that, or I guess I imagined them. Either way, I didn't need the earplugs anymore. At this point, Tom walked into the store, his white hair looking even whiter than normal. Spencer, I could see, became instantly aware of the deputy's presence. "Where is he?" He half whispered, half growled. "Where is the other one?" "Oh, Diego?" I asked. Spencer sighed. "Sure, Diego. He's not due for another 20 minutes. When he gets here, tell him we need to have a little chat." With that, Spencer Milton let out a shrill whistle and left the store. Kiefer jumped out of his seat and followed close behind. Tom helped me pick up the mess and put the lotto display back together without asking a single question. I wish more people could be like Tom. When Diego got to work, he told me that he had been having strange dreams. Dreams of something enormous, living, breathing, underground. The dreams always ended the same way, with the gas station collapsed into a giant sinkhole. I told him that Spencer was looking for him. That's when Diego grew solemn and asked me if he could show me something. In the freezer, behind a box labeled "Non aprire," whatever the hell that means, they've been here as long as I've worked here, there is a moving blanket. And inside that blanket is another Kiefer. My first question for Diego was, "You stole the body back?" He looked at the ground and shook his head sheepishly like a toddler that just got busted for cooking meth. "You killed another one?" I asked. Diego explained. "It was an accident. Again." 3:00 a.m. The man in the trench coat is finally gone. He left claw marks on the glass of the front door. I checked the security footage to confirm my suspicions. He always stays just outside the range of our cameras. Why can't I remember what his face looked like? 3:30 a.m. Marlboro was the first customer in the store after the man in the trench coat left. I told him that I was surprised he was still alive. He mistook this for a compliment and said, "Thank you." I asked him if he was ready for the big event, and he just stared at me blankly. I could tell he had no idea what I was talking about, so I filled him in on how I had put it all together. The unusual cultist activity, the whispers, the buying up all of our supplies. I could tell that something was about to happen. Marlboro went pale in the face as I was talking, then ran out of the gas station before I could finish, the 99-cent frozen drink still in his hand. I know I should write up an inventory loss slip for the theft, but I just can't bring myself to do it. As hard as it is to explain, there's just something about Marlboro that makes me genuinely feel sorry for him. 6:00 a.m. I caught myself digging again. I don't know how long I was out there, or who was running the store while I was gone. The hole is so deep now that I nearly couldn't climb out on my own. I should maybe think about considering the possibility of one day asking a doctor if this is normal. 8:00 a.m. Marlboro is currently crying in the dry storage closet. Through his sobs, I could barely make out the story. Marlboro was sent on some kind of vision quest for the last week and has no idea what the other cultists have been stocking up for. When he went back to the compound earlier tonight, he found the whole place completely deserted. Beds were left unmade, some plates still had food on them, a fire still burning in the fireplace. Everyone's clothes were still in their personal milk crates next to their sleeping bags. But the people, all of the people, were simply gone. Marlboro isn't taking this very well. I have a business to run, so I asked Diego to help me carry him into the dry storage area. I figure he can work through some of his stuff in there, and then maybe when he's done, he'll just, I don't know, go home. November 4th, 9:00 p.m. The exterminators just left. They say they got all of the snakes this time, but I have my doubts. November 5th, 5:00 p.m. Kiefer came into the store again today and made some thinly veiled threats. He asked about Diego too, but I told him that I was tired of being the go-between and that if he had business with Diego, he needed to take it up with Diego. That's when Kiefer started getting weird. You know, this place is just a big experiment, and you're the little mouse. I asked Kiefer to buy something or leave, so he bought a pack of toothpaste, then started to undress in the store and rub the toothpaste on his naked body. They tell me something is wrong with your brain. Is that true? I tried to be polite and avert my eyes as I answered, "Yeah. You have some kind of a mental condition?" I answered again, "Yeah." "That's too bad." At this point, Kiefer was completely naked. He walked over to the frozen drink machine and filled a large cup with the sugary red concoction before turning it upside down on top of his head. He then shook himself violently like a wet dog, flinging bits of cold, sticky debris across everything from the ceiling to the walls, some of it even landing on my face. But I tried not to let him see me flinch. I knew this was all just some sort of really bizarre attempt to intimidate me, and I really didn't want to give him the satisfaction. "What is it exactly?" he asked as he crossed back to where his pile of clothes waited for him. "What?" I asked. "What is your condition? Paranoia? Schizophrenia? The gay?" "No," I answered. "It's just, I don't sleep." "You don't sleep?" He sounded genuinely interested. "Like, ever?" "I can't fall asleep. I haven't slept a single day since high school. It's a rare genetic condition with no cure and no treatment, and one day it will kill me. But until then, I can handle the effects the best I can." Kiefer nodded. "That must be it. That must be why he can't reach you." "Why, who can't reach me?" Right then, Spencer came into the store. He threw a blanket around Kiefer and ushered him out to a waiting SUV. A moment later, he came back into the store and offered me $100 for the security tape from tonight. Wonder what I'll spend my $100 on. 9:00 p.m. I was beginning to suspect something wasn't quite right in the store. I've been finding empty candy bar wrappers strewn about, security tapes mysteriously deleted, strange noises coming through the walls in the middle of the night when I should be alone. At least, more strange noises than usual. At first, I assumed it was just raccoons, but now I know the truth. Now I know that Malbro has been living here for the past 2 days. He just walked out of the supply closet wearing a bathrobe, nodded to me as he grabbed a stick of meat jerky, and then went into the bathroom. It hadn't even occurred to me that Malbro never left. November 6th, 4 a.m. It finally happened. I suppose it was only a matter of time. I know I should feel regret or shame or any other emotions that normal people feel after something like this happens, but honestly, all I feel is embarrassed. I came to a couple hours ago with a shovel in my hand. I had been digging again, and this time I had made some serious progress. The hole was at least 7 feet deep, the steep walls made of loose red clay. It took me a while to realize that I was staring up into an inky black night, peppered with uncountable stars. When some of the bigger celestials started to move, I realized that those stars were actually just the soulless red eyes of the mutant raccoons staring down at me over the edge of a hole. Probably looking for food, the shameless beggars. I chucked the shovel out of the hole, and that's when I heard it. Imagine the sound of a butcher's knife hitting a watermelon, like a solid, wet thwack. Now imagine the watermelon gurgling and falling over like a sack of potatoes. Oh man, this metaphor has really gotten away from me. When I climbed out of the hole, I saw the shovel standing upright, the business end firmly lodged inside the open chest wound of a still twitching Kiefer. The Kiefer was dead before I even got to his side. In a final act of defiance, he had turned both his middle fingers up to me. I felt just the slightest amount of respect for him before I went into a mental state that I can only describe as subdued panic. The first thing I wanted to do was find something to wrap the body in because surely Spencer Middleton would be coming for it soon. When I went into the gas station, I was surprised to find that Malbro had taken it upon himself to work the cash register while I was gone. He was ringing up one of our regulars, Charles, a great big fat man that always buys soap and boiled peanuts. I nabbed a tarp off the shelf and took it outside. That's when I learned something. Kefir is heavy. Like, really heavy. I understand that a human body is basically just a meaty, fleshy water balloon full of guts and excrement, but nothing could prepare me for how leaky and gross and heavy a dead man can be. It was only by some miracle that I managed to drag Kefir through the back door and into the freezer without being seen. It took all of my strength to pull the mass behind the boxes and onto the stack with the other 3. When I finally finished, I had worked up a sweat, and even the cold of the freezer wasn't enough to keep me cool. As I stood there, letting my breath come back and adrenaline wear off, I took stock of my situation. That's when it dawned on me. There were 4 Kefirs in that freezer with me. 4 Kefirs. Where the hell did the other 2 come from? The freezer door opened and Marlboro entered, dragging a dead Kefir by the legs. He stopped and made eye contact with me. When he saw the Kefirs at my feet, I said the only thing I could think of. Well, this is awkward. Marlboro and I decided to open a bottle of Strega liquor and have a few drinks. He explained that he had accidentally killed Kefir a couple times. I totally understood. The guy was just so easy to kill. At one point, Diego came into the freezer to grab a box of cookie dough. He didn't even acknowledge all the Kefirs. My laptop battery is currently at 2%. It's obvious now that I won't have time to transcribe the rest of my journals before it dies. I don't have time to tell you how I ended up at the bottom of this hole underneath the store with a broken leg, but I can tell you that I hear someone moving around above me, which is good because I don't think I'm alone down here. If you're reading this, it means I managed to upload my story. If you're not reading this, then I don't even know. What are you? Someone just called my name from the top of the precipice. I think it was Diego. I wonder what happened to Tom. Why didn't Tom ever show up? Come to think of it, I seem to remember Tom didn't survive the Halloween incident. Wait, then who the hell have I been talking to this entire time? I promise that if I survive long enough to recharge my battery, I will come back and tell the rest. Until then, I guess this story is to be continued. Thanks for watching, and before you go, here's a special shout out to my patrons who donated $20 or more. Painty, Zestros, Jocelyn Cunningham, Fantasy Writer Cosplay, Dark Nito Taki, Avrok Levgri, Jesse, Kimimaro Kaguya, and Simon Loverdeer Delisle. Thanks so much, you guys! If you're interested in becoming a patron and helping me to keep YouTube creepy, please feel free to check out the link in the card.